Time now for the quote of the week. Discussions of climate change is arguably the low point in public discussion over the last half century. For years, the loudest voices in government, foundations, or parts of academia have insisted that the science is settled, and then used that phrase not as a summary of the evidence, but as a weapon to censor. Careers have been derailed for asking the wrong questions. Researchers who challenge core assumptions in the IPCC models or raised doubts about the speed or scale of the projected catastrophe found grant money was drying up, committees closed to them, conference invitations revoked. In government, people who push for nuances instead of alarmism have been sidelined or fired. This isn't the free contest of ideas that science depends on. It's enforcement. It's the reflex of an anxious, increasingly authoritarian culture that punishes dissent first and answers later. And then there's a bitter irony, calling debate dangerous, dissenters deniers. Come on, that's profoundly sold as defending science when it's actually the opposite of science. Science is built on challenges, replication possibilities, friction, and the possibility that you might be wrong. The climate establishment has increasingly treated challenges as heresy. That's not climate policy, that's doctrine, which brings me to the quote of the week by Bill Gates, who finally admitted what the likes of Justin Trudeau, Stephen Guilbeault, Mark Carney, have yet to acknowledge, and certainly not the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who recently, again, as last week, stated that climate change is an existential threat. Gates stated in quotes, "Although climate change will have serious consequences, particularly for people in the poorest countries, it will not lead to humanity's demise. People will be able to live and thrive in most places on Earth for the foreseeable future." End of quote. He went further, though, and stated that instead of treating climate change as an immediate civilization-ending threat, in quotes, "our chief goal should be to prevent suffering, particularly for those in the toughest conditions who live in the world's poorest countries." This is literally the antithesis of what Canada, the EU, and other developed countries have done, as exemplified, by the way. I'll give you one example. The Glasgow Statement 221, in which North America and Europe, including Canada, committed to no longer finance new oil and gas development in Africa, dooming the continent to energy poverty. But at the same time, Europe was importing African LNG and other hydrocarbons to keep the lights on, especially after the Russian supply shock. So you're going to forgive me for thinking about the politicians and numerous members of the media and academia who fed us this avalanche of hypocrisy and a heaping helping of anti-science propaganda. I'll give a mini prop to Bill Gates for finally admitting what should have been obvious.